In this presentation, we will set up a new QuickBooks file in order to work our not-for-profit practice problem within QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Pro. Here we are within QuickBooks. If you open up QuickBooks and it goes to a current file that you have open, you can close that file by going to the File dropdown and then selecting the Close Company. However, you can also start a new company file from any screen with the File dropdown. If you close the company file, you'll typically see a screen such as this with the open items or the recently opened QuickBooks files in here. Then we have the create new company file down below, or open or restore. We're going to be creating a new company file. However, I do like to do that with the drop down. So typically the drop down will be there all the time, whether you have another file open or not. You could just simply go to new company, and when you open the new company, if another company is open, it will then close that company and then open another file. Note, as you open another file, you're going to want to think about where you're going to put this file as well, because QuickBooks will create another file for another QuickBooks file. So in our example, we opened up QuickBooks here. We've got another folder where we would like to put the QuickBooks file. Now note, when you set up the QuickBooks file, it may just place it somewhere and you're going to have to go basically find it and then put it where you want. We'll explain this more as we go through. Back to QuickBooks, we're going to go to the File tab up top. We're going to go to New Company, File, and then New Company. We're then going to simply go to the Start the Setup process. This will be the quickest way to go through and set up a new company file. And then we're going to skip this section, so we'll skip that. And then the three items that we need are the ones with the red asterisks in them. These are the only ones we're going to fill out here because we want to just simply work our practice problem. Obviously, in practice, we would have an EIN number as well as the business address. Typically, the EIN number, that's going to be something that you would get from the Internal Revenue Service, otherwise known as an employer identification number. So we're going to go up top. We're going to name the company. I'm going to name it 14NN, which is kind of a funny name, but this is going to be our practice problem for the not-for-profit. This is going to, let's call it healthcare, health services. That's going to be what we provide in this example problem. The industry then, if we select help me choose, you can then get the industries from the left. Now, if you select the industry, note that it gives you a chart of accounts. That's the major reason to select an industry. Now, we do have an industry of a not-for-profit, which will provide this chart of accounts. So if this chart of accounts looks good to you, you can go through this chart of accounts and think about whether or not you want to use that particular industry. However, the not-for-profits, there could be a wide range of different not-for-profits. So it may be the case that this chart of accounts isn't appropriate for you if you're a not-for-profit. And in that case, you might want to just set up your own chart of accounts. To do that, and that's what we will do here, we're going to go all the way back down and we're going to go to the Other. So we're going to go to Other, and that just basically means, hey, QuickBooks, I'm going to set up my own chart of accounts from scratch. That's what we'll do in this practice problem. We're going to say OK. And then the type of industry, the business type, if it's a not-for-profit organization, we then select the not-for-profit organization here. That will change some things within the QuickBooks, including the name of the equity section within QuickBooks, which is nice. So you want to be able to choose the not-for-profit if that is, of course, applicable to the organization. That's all we're going to do to set it up. We're going to go ahead and then create the company. Now we're going to close some of these windows that will typically open as you open up a new QuickBooks file. We're going to close this running out of space. We're going to close this item, and then we're going to close this item. That'll leave us with just the home page open. I will typically maximize the home page here to maximize it to get the full screen on it. And typically, as we use the QuickBooks file, we're going to open the open windows. So every time we open QuickBooks, we're going to go to the View tab and then the Open Windows list. That'll give us the open windows on the left, here being only the home page at this time. If you go to the lists drop down up top just to check our chart of accounts, there should be basically very little in the chart of accounts. We're going to go to the lists chart of accounts, and we have just the essentials in the chart of accounts here. And then we're going to be creating our own accounts within it. You'll note that we do have the equity section accounts, including the restricted net assets and the temporary restricted net assets. So rather than equity be calling equity, it's going to be called this net assets. Now you'll note that QuickBooks didn't tell us where do you want to save this company file? Where is this company file? Where did it put it? It would be kind of nice if QuickBooks would ask us before they just kind of make the file and throw it somewhere. Although they do try to predict, the best spot for it to be, which is typically where your last company file was located. So if you don't know where QuickBooks put the company file and then you want to find it and put it someplace else like we do, which is that folder we showed at the beginning of the presentation, one way to do that is to close the company file, go back to that file that shows the recently opened companies, and then it'll give you a mapping as to where the company file is located. So I'm going to go to the File tab up top. I'm going to close the company. So we'll go to File and then close the company. And the last company we had open will then be the company on top is the most recently opened. If you hover over it, then you see you get that mapping right there of where the file is located. Now, if you can't find it quickly, notice it goes away. So you might want to do like a screenshot of it. You might want to basically hover over it and then do a screenshot of it. So you'd hover over it and do a screen clipping and then possibly open up Word in order to paste it there, and then use that in order to locate it on your computer. So I'd open up Word and say, there's the screen clipping, and then basically I'm going to crop that information so I can find it. So I'm going to go up top to the picture format. I'm going to go to the size. I'm going to crop it so that I just see that message and I can enlarge the message. So I'm going to crop this whole thing and like so, and then I'm going to make this large, and then at least I can see it and it doesn't disappear on us, and we can locate where that file is positioned at.